Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Have the Race Gone for yet another round of the VRR Super GT Season 6, the virtual reality racing, the finest American league racing this side of GT Planet, dare I say. It's a pleasure having you along, those of you who have joined us very early. Qualifying session just having gotten underway here. Evening to Bambi and Emilius as well. And indeed, Emilius, on a shortened notice here, Manufacturers Race 3 yesterday was indeed a force of public lobby that went down. We're watching Emerald Drifter on their outlap. This is NASCAR fan crossing the line to begin the first of hot laps here from the qualifying session. And qualifying here at the Green Hell, well, I think it speaks for itself because it is tricky. And it is perhaps the trickiest of tracks in the world to put in a good qualifying lap upon. Certainly the limits between what is a banker and what is and such. Certainly a little bit floaty here. And just to go through the drivers' standings, we have the Flash with one win leading in the GT 500 class in front of GT Racer 22, but only 2 points separating those two here as we come into the fourth round of racing. And NASCAR fan, the driver we're watching at the moment, yet another further 2 points behind at 14 points. So still a very close scrap for the championship. In the GT 500 class, we also have Cross 24 on 10 points, so by no means out of it yet. In the GT 300s, it is Noir Antares leading Crazy John, the Mad Greek, CJ, with the Canadian DA team in third. Ledford is fourth. Weather Systems is in fifth. In the standings, Antares packing 22 points in front of CJ's 18s and the 8. So, it's been looking steady for if I recall correctly, Antares, Filipino driver residing in Japan, and for some reason under an American flag here in GT Sport. It is all a little bit strange. We're back with NASCAR fan, having just entered the Nürburgring Nordschleife itself. And then over the ballsy but okay racing soft, they can take it flat out, it seems, over the Schwedenkreuz. And you need quite a bit of downforce to do that at these speeds. Hello there, GT4 and more. Good evening to you. Welcome. It's a pleasure having you along here for what is going to be a good couple of hours of Super GT coming to Europe, the VRR Super GT, the 6th running season of virtual reality racing Super GT action. And I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a league that has run for a longer time on GT Planet. I could be wrong. I just don't know which one of them it should be in that case. Certainly very well organized, the VRR, which we're also seeing here. So let's have a look with GT Racer in the Okuma Lexus. And it's looking good so far. The Flash championship leader in the Red Bull GTR. You'd expect it to be difficult, to say the least, to handle the GT 500 machines here on the Nordschleife. This bumpy nature, one of the only tracks that has actually gotten to remain bumpy, should I say, because, of course, might also be a case of Polyphony just choosing less bumpy tracks to put in the game in general. A good few of the tracks are very smooth indeed. Oh, as the Flash gets it all wrong. Oh, is that damage picked up? That is no damage for the Flash. The Kiwi being a little bit lucky and mix that with a good portion of skill that's required to save that one. Emilius, we are indeed, I think, all hyped for Rain. It's gonna add an extra dimension, and I'm excited to see how Polyphony has portrayed the Rain, so to say. It's gonna be really interesting, to say the least. And I think one of the circuits that could really be great to have it on is, of course, here at the Nordschleife. Although, in reality, isn't it quite rare to actually have the entire track engulfed in rain at once? It seems it's always just partly raining, as we see at La Sarthe as well. We actually saw a bit of it for this year's 24-hour race as well. Antares, the GT300 championship leader in the junior big boy mate, which is in its own right still a thickster, if you will say so. It is, of course, the BMW M6. BMW coming here to defend their home turf and to defend the championship, of course, as well, with Noir and Tares here behind the wheel as he comes into the carousel. Let's go on board. Manages to keep it right on the edge there. A well taken line through there indeed. Oh, just missing the apex on that last bit of the uphill. On that S-bend there. Now this really is the section that separates the strong from the less so, shall we say. As Antares is throwing his BMW down the slopes of the Eiffel Mountains. Really see some big altitude changes here. It's actually also a 24-hour bike race for bicycles around the Nordschleife, where the riders frequently hit speeds of, well, excess of 100 kilometers an hour. Oh, that's all the way to the limit. Impressive stuff from Antares. Currently first out, it seems, of the GT300s, though that doesn't mean it's going to be the quickest time for him. We'll have to see about that. So here, first times being set. That's GT Racer with a 7:24.5. And I think NASCAR fan, well, either the pace has suffered on that lap, or there's been some kind of mistake at some point from NASCAR fan indeed here. The Flash brings the GTR in between the two, 4 seconds down, and that's not an awful long way here at the Nordschleife, of course. It's a track where we're used to seeing margins of a different size than what's normal in the world of motorsports. And that is, of course, given the long length of the track. Evening to Mr. Senna, 2812. Nice to have you along. As Antares is throwing the BMW into the final chicane. And then it'll be on to the start-finish straight. It'll be a time right around the 8 minutes mark, just over. That's a pretty strong time for any GT3 car. And let's see how the competition stacks up against it. We've got Ledford in the AMG. And he's 5 seconds down. Race car, GTP race car. It's gonna be some way down in another one of the Mercedeses. This one sponsored by Samsung and Logitech, as we can see, maker of the Wheel of Champions, the G29 GTP race car 814, I think that was. Drifter, that's an out lap, so that's going to be yet another lap before we can see any kind of results there. Angel on pause, it seems. Here's CJ on his way. Next up in line, but he's some way off. Oh, we got Krim as well running, so we're going to check that out. And I think Krim is substituting for Cross 24. I wouldn't be surprised. That is the Diet Coke. Oh, as to that was formidable. I think having bent it ever so slightly. Oh, that's gonna be close. GTP Krim puts the car provisionally on second, front row. That is for Black Rose Racing. But what gets me all up and running is the difference between these two cars. 0.06 of a second separating the two over an entire lap of the Nordschleife. That is impressive indeed. Oh, Krim going wide. Of course, having just done a lap of the Nordschleife, the GT circuit also and always feels like kind of like a relaxing Sunday drive. Maybe not every single corner of it, but the width, the somewhat easier nature and lower intensity of the GP track, but also makes for the place where you can actually overtake when having races here on the 24-hour layout. So Krim still purple by less than 1/10 of a second onto the back straight of the GT circuit, coming down towards the chicane. Of course, the fast version of the chicane. Seeing these high downforce GT 500 machines absolutely fly through there onto the Nordschleife. Let's go on board with the Diet Coke machine. Has picked up half a second, so seems to be on a really strong pace. Let's see GT Racer. Gonna stay aboard with the GT Racer just to have a look at what kind of times. This isn't gonna be it. It's been some kind of mistake on this lap for GT Racer indeed. Looking good for GTP Krim. Although the hard part of the lap is yet to be done, and here it's exactly what we see. It's on the way into the Hudson-Bach. And GTP Krim suffering still. Purple though. Really finding the pace in that GTR. Impressive stuff. The flash around halfway on the next lap. NASCAR fan also looking to improve. The flash going a little wide into that hairpin leading up to the carousel. Just to see how the Kiwi championship leader gets through the carousel very well indeed. Nice and clean. We're back with GTP Krim still running purple sector times. It's been looking really strong. Oh, that is twitchiness under braking, if ever I've seen it, but well controlled and still extending the purple times. You'd have to wonder at some point. Just gonna say, well, I'm gonna relax from here because 7/10 we can give it a look yet again all the way to the limit. It's holding up well so far for Krim. I'm of course here with my trusted coffee, keeping me woke. Yet another purple sector. Oh, as Krim nearly overdoes it into the really tight left-hand hairpin. But, and that's thrown away a couple of tenths of the lead on that lap as well. Maybe just overdoing it a little bit. No doubt that it's great to watch indeed. With Krim going absolutely full gas here. throws it and gets a brilliant exit. And this is a long, fast bit here, so that's going to be a good time gain. Oh, but and GT Racer must have absolutely flown through there, because from leading at every split so far on the lap, Krim now 7/10 down on the pole time, on the provisional pole time set by GT Racer, and catching up to Drifter here isn't necessarily going to help, but that's a big time difference to make up in a single sector, I have to say. As now through the next sector, Krim 4/10 up. But okay, I don't think anyone has put in a perfect lap here. Somebody has at some point put in something that was close to perfect. But of the laps here, and putting in a perfect lap here at the green hell, that is as close to impossible as they come. 1.2 seconds up. It's looking really good now for GTP Krim. Oh, a little bit of a slide here into the downhill section. And then careful over the crests, keeping it nice and tidy. A little more sliding. But while the rear slides on this GTR, it seems to be controllable as well. And of course it is really important having the car rotate along. Still not sure about the time though. Oh, NASCAR fan has crossed the line. Less than half a second down on the provisional pole time, but down indeed, though very close between our top three in the 500 class. Here's the flash. So 4 seconds down in 5th position. Oh, and that's STM, RDDs. STM just nudging off NASCAR fan, and it's been this way all season actually, with really close qualifying sessions. Indeed, we're gonna go back with GTP Krim. A little bit of a slipstream coming up, I think, from that's GTP Race Car's car. And a few drivers still on hot laps, so it is not a definitive. Oh, as GTP Race Car goes a long way to put the Merc out of the way of what could indeed be a pole time come the end of the lap, and it's gonna be one indeed, and it's gonna be a great one by 1.5 seconds. 7:23 dead for GTP Krim and Black Rose Racing indeed. Brilliant lap. Well, nice that we managed to catch most of it. STM did make it across the line as well. NASCAR fan. Well, it's over for NASCAR fan. And 4th place it is. The Flash still with a shot here. Well, let's see split time to get an idea. 7/10 up. We know the GTR can go fast around here, as we've just seen Krim do it, but question is, oh, the Flash losing it almost on the exit, but going wide, certainly losing time and getting dirty tires as well in the process. That is not what the Kiwi needs. Evening to Swadu. Bobby, don't curse it. Don't Jackson, don't curse it, Bobby, don't curse it. But indeed, Bambi, it's on a high level, and the pace really picked up from Krim first appearance of the season. Stepping in for Cross 24 with a fine display in qualifying. GT Racer second. SDM third so far, but with yet another lap to do so. 2 seconds down on the pole time. NASCAR fan, as we could see before, well, that was over. Here is the Flash. Still a lot of time to make up. Of course, as I've mentioned earlier as well, but I'll be glad to mention it again, the championship standings. Well, it is the Flash leading GT Racer 22 by 2 points. That means the Flash is on 18 points. We have GT Racer on 16. We have NASCAR fan on 14 points. And then Cross 24, whom Krim is standing in for today, on 10 points. So all still to play for. In the GT 500 standings, we have a close GT 300 field as well, with Antares leading with 22 points, CJ in second with 18, and Canadian D8 team in third place with 12 points, and then Leadfoot with 6, Weather Systems 4, Damon 3, Formidable 2, and Drifter and Race Car 1 apiece. NASCAR dude, impressive to see such small margins, and CJ has done it as well, because he's down by just under 0.3 of a second on the time set by Antares. So we're looking at a tight and tough championship fight in both classes here indeed. Certainly indeed a good round yet again for the number 24 car. That we can say, Cross, that we can say. And nice to see your stand-in really delivering on the goods here with Krim having done a brilliant... Still running, and we should definitely go check it out. It is SDM still on track at the moment. We've also got someone coming through the mini carousel as we speak. And on the way onto the back straight, let's just go check out who it is. It's gonna be difficult, we're just gonna need to go all the way through everyone. It's the Flash, of course it is the Flash indeed. And by the way, a warm welcome, a very good Saturday evening, at least evening to those watching and joining in from Europe. But to everyone having joined us here for a qualifying session of which we're getting very close to the end of, and that means we're getting closer indeed to race start. We'll have a short break for well, the driver's break, and let's just call it the break. And then the driver's briefing that's going to take part afterwards. That's going to provide you people with the chance to go pick up on whatever snacks, refreshments and the likes that you'll need to be stacking up on before this 300-kilometer race. So that's the Flash in second position, by the way. Completely missed to see that. And it just occurred to me having a look at the running order at the times. So all of a sudden it's looking a lot better for the championship leader, now on front row, though in second position in the end. And Taras seems to have cancelled the lap. And no improvement for SDM. So who is it who's still running? We have, it's just Antares. And indeed, Kyle, I am amazed to see this closeness of the field, and also with the leading two GT300s being equally close around such a long track. That certainly bodes well. One thing that is certainly noteworthy. That's not really worth noting. But one thing that is worth noting is that the race is, of course, a nighttime race. So it's going to be happening in the more or less, not complete dark, but something close to it. It's going to be a different challenge to being able to see breaking points, etc. Let's just see if we can bring up the timing screen. Maybe with someone not... Oh, we're just gonna have... That's less engine noise, right? We're gonna go with this engine noise over the other engine noises. So are they done at the World Finals, at the final heat of the day yet? Do I even want to know? I shouldn't have asked. I'm gonna get told in chat in 2 seconds. Of course, our break period is just underway, so we can see the standings, the grid standings here. Just taking a look further down the order. Although, are they? Oh yeah, it is. They're still trustable. That's good. That's nice. Oh, and thanks for subscribing, GT4 and more. Really appreciate it. It warms my Danish heart. Even though the warm days of summer is here already. And we're not that used to it, so when it comes for real, the heat, as it also did last year, I think the entire of Europe had a very hot summer. Last year we've been having a hot summer, at least in tiny Denmark. For so far, it's been nice and swell. And indeed, Tetsu, evening to Storm Pacer as well. I hope everything is going well with the Apex Endurance League. GT300, it should be said, is quite close at the top of affairs, but then there's quite a gap from second to third, from CJ to Leadfoot. Then Leadfoot Weather Systems pretty close, and then a little bit more of a split further down the order. But the 500 class indeed very, very close. It's GTR on top, Nissans, and then it's the two Lexuses in front of the single NSX today. But with these kind of gaps, I don't think we could fairly say that the cars have really had too much say. Of course, one could be more stable than the other. One could perhaps be a little bit of an advantage over other cars here, also with the big long straight at the back of the track. Thanks, NASCAR dude. Best of luck to yourself as well. Best of luck to the entire field, and take care in turn one. Oh, you're having Bathurst tonight. Interesting. I could perhaps tease the viewers with the fact that we are aiming also to show at least a couple, 1 or 2 if possible, rounds of the Apex Endurance League here on the channel. But it's just so that the schedule is colliding a little bit with some of the things we've already had on schedule, like the VRR, like the IGTL and stuff, at least through this first part of 2019. But come late summer and the autumn, it might change a bit. Look at this great artful shot of murky green. It's a fence. It's now beginning to clear up. It shows it's an art shot of the fence. Oh, it's the acid fence. Have you seen the acid fence? Who gave me these pills? Sorry, I shouldn't have pressed away because now we're just stuck with regular old watching the cars in pit. Just gonna... Alright, Tetsu, best of luck in the DRL lobby. See you around, mate. Oh, yeah. The competition is tough nowadays. Isn't it? I was just kidding. DRL is the Dynamic Racing League. Go check them out here on YouTube. They have their own channel where our good friend, the man formerly known as Off Apple, who is now nukeshot_Sokyo_9, is commentating on some of the races alongside Felix, the man formerly known as Snipperator, the original NES commentator, and also some highlights packages going up from some of the races, I think, and such. Anyways, check it out. And also, I think they're aiming for... They're catering for driver rating B and below, I think. So that's kind of nice to know. So if anyone's feeling like they're needing a good place to start, I think the DRL certainly could provide that with somewhere where it's a bit more of a lax environment. Indeed, Road Rage, the closeness of the qualifying session has stunned a lot of us, I think. Oh yeah, of course, Ayrton, you shouldn't check it out now. You should check them out maybe later tonight or perhaps tomorrow. Would be a good day to check out the DRL as well. Of course, right about now you shouldn't be going anywhere because we aren't too far away from the race start. Oh, I think we have a little bit of an please can we be without the lobby issues? PD, next update, please just fix the stuff. And I can hardly even call the phrase, but we've been having these lobby issues since GT5. It's the same problems that's persisted. Come on. Polyphony. Hopefully we can keep the weight minimal and get the race underway as quickly as possible. But it has to be said that the most important thing is for all the drivers to be able to see each other, and for the drivers not to be seeing any extreme lag. At least any avoidable lag is worth avoiding, because it can really mess up races. And given that we are racing for a few minutes with the 300 kilometers on display here tonight, I think it's some good precautions being taken. Although It does give you an extra chance to go have a wee, to go have something to drink, whatever. If you need to walk the dog, like me on occasion as well. Of course, I can also use this little bit of a break to advertise something coming up here on the channel next weekend. Something we've been waiting for since the month of March. It is the IGTL June race weekend. Next weekend, the entire weekend, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, 3 races, Clubman, Pro and Masters, and it is sure gonna be it's gonna be a hell of a weekend. I'm gonna be doing Friday and Saturday by myself, and Sunday I'm gonna be joined by my good old friend Trals here in the booth for the 4-hour stint race, the Master stint race on Sunday. So do tune in for the entirety of the next weekend. It's gonna be a party. It's gonna be a blast. Evening, Josh. Where's Desert Penguin with the mac and cheese? I feel like there's some kind of inside jokes going on. Though I know Desert Penguin, and that has to be set up in Racing Him in the monthly Saturday night Group 4 Endurance Series. Something that I haven't been having the time to do the last couple of months. Big shame actually, because I've really been having fun racing with those lads. Mac and cheese, Bambi, can be good if it's well made. I've tried it bad, I've tried it pretty good. Although as a European, you've heard a lot about it, and then when you try it, it's sort of bland, to be honest. You compare it to like Italian food or Middle Eastern food or Spanish food or French food, or I don't know, man. But hey, I'm probably not gonna get too popular from dissing American food, at least not tonight. Here we are, nighttime lights are on in the pit lane, and they're certainly they're out in the night sky. I was about to say. And Kyle, I've only had homemade mac and cheese. I don't think I've ever seen like a pre-made mac and cheese in Denmark. We're in Europe, mind you. We have many pre-made weird things, but mac and cheese isn't that big here. Hot and viscous, I agree, Bambi, I agree. But any pasta dish served with a sauce should certainly be both hot and viscous. That is 2 keywords of pasta. Well, hot and viscous, cheesy and flavorful, those 2 or those 4 things don't really rule out one another, do they? Creamy or baked. But indeed, most food that comes straight out of a box without you having to be doing anything at all usually ain't the best food, either for your taste buds or for your body. Viscous and cheesy go hand in hand. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Bambi. We're getting a real good food discussion going here. Exactly, we gotta spend the time, driver's meeting time, for something creatively. Look at that handsome ass photographer. Oh, he's taking some nice shots of Ledford's car and of the entire field. I'd like to see his photos. He's checking them out himself. Are they good enough? He's gonna keep snapping. Oh, he's awaiting. Oh, there it is, he's snapping. True, Josh. It can be done so quickly. Of course, Angel is making sure that everyone's on and in on track limits. And I'd imagine it to be in the stadium section where it's, after all, still relevant. A very good evening to everyone who's joined us after qualifying. We have yet to get the race underway. We're having a drivers meeting going on at the moment, with the drivers briefing included here by Angel. And one thing I've been wondering is, are we going to see an entire warm-up lap? And I'm sure the information must have been served somewhere, but it's flown above my head. So if any one of you folks in chat know, which I suspect you just might, since a couple of you are racing or knowing racers and such, let me know. Are we doing an entire warm-up lap here? It's gonna be like fucking half an hour. It's gonna be huge. So this is where oh, nice. Good evening, GTR. What a pleasure having you along. I hope you're doing well. I hope you are enjoying the weekend. I hope you're enjoying the Nürburgring World Tour event. We are here at the Nürburgring event. It is an event, I guess it is. But we are at the Nürburgring. Sometimes not being a maternal English speaker comes back to haunt you. You make some kind of strange mistake, although you are quite both familiar with and adequately skilled in English usually. Anyways, it's nice to see you, GTR. I got carried away with that one. But we are layered here in the dark of night with the driver briefing going on at the moment. That'll be over with soon, and that will be the time we get the racing underway. It's afternoon for Josh, I know, but for GTR it's evening. For me it's evening. It's confusing with that round world spinning. I don't take it we have any flat earthers, and if we have, I'm sorry to break your dreams, bro or sis. It just ain't so. No, I don't recognize time zones. That's the new thing. That's but I know what you mean, like, Josh, you look out the window and I'm having, like, because you have your daily rhythm and everything, like, your body is tired in the morning, and then having to get your head across that somewhere else in the world is actually in the middle of the afternoon at that moment. I think that's a little bit funny. For us, sim racers of the 21st century, of course, time zones are a thing straight out of hell. That's quite difficult to get your head across at best. At worst, it creates a lot of confusion when you have events with drivers from all over the world taking place and taking part. And that is, of course, also one of the joyous sides of, well, GT Sports is one of them. I've been doing iRacing lately. I've been racing folks from all over the world on there as well. I think that's a great thing with sim racing to do. Speaking of iRacing, I also filed my first protest today for being taken out intentionally by someone. So I'm not above filing a protest for a dirty bastard. Yeah, that's right, dirty bastard. Pedro, that was his name. Anyway, so I think we're getting closer to race start, ladies and gentlemen. It's gonna be soon. Bambi, GT Planet can teach you a lot of things. I'm sure if you dive into the caves of GT Planet, those forums will take you a long way down underground, deep in the dank caverns of GTP. We all hate time zones. I have to look it up every time But what confuses me, like the time zones around what is around, I can always remember that the English are an hour before us in Denmark, and we have the Russians are like 4 hours in front. There are some that I remember. I always get trouble getting my head around the United States because it covers. I get to say Russia is 4 hours. I think Moscow is 4 hours the other way, but because Russia obviously covers many time zones as well. But that's what, you know, from Pacific time to Atlantic time to all that stuff. That's what difficult for me, I think. GTP is known to kill more brain cells than alcohol. Watch out. You can only have, 14 doses of GTP for ladies and 21 doses of GTP recommended weekly by doctors to keep your brain cells alive. Mika! What a pleasure. Nice to see you, mate. Hope you're enjoying the weekend. And Mika, of course, a long-time community member of ours. It's the man that lives under the bonnet, producing all the smoke in the world. It's always Mika. Poof, poof, poof. You deserve a badge for that, indeed. And a big Huya Avant as well from me. Race is getting very close to start. Look at the lights. Of course, GT500s with the white lights, GT300s with the yellow lights, and that's going to be one easy way to distinguish between the two classes today. Let's get those ugly driver names out of the way. And the warm-up period is rolling, and as Bambi I think was so kind to mention for us before, it is just down to the right-hand hairpin that leads up to the Schumacher S's. From there on it will be green, green, and green indeed. Yellow versus white. It's not the black and yellow, it's the vanilla version. White and yellow, white and yellow. It's a country song. White and yellow, white and yellow. No, that's a bad joke, I'm sorry. Evening Shoma, evening Psychos as well. And I feel like there is a certain part of me that wants to say, hello darkness, my old friend, for this race here tonight. With that said, the GT500 class is rolling down towards that hairpin that's gonna be marking the start line for him. I haven't mentioned this yet, but I'll do it shortly. Tires and fuel ×1, damage on heavy, and all other settings on real. And with that said, right around here, that's gonna see it's green, green, green for the 500s. They are underway up through the Schumacher as the Flash takes the lead from GT Krim. That's a brilliant start indeed. Let's hop back. Angel there in 6th position. The start about to kick off for the 300s. The yellow team, we should say, and it's Antares leading CJ and Ledford. No changes there, although a whole lot of action going on at the moment as the GT500s are scrambling onto the back straight of the GT circuit. And that's a big bunch of cars leading in here. We had a big piece of action just before. Let's hop on with Angel to get the prime view of what's going on in front. The car's lit up from the headlights of the cars running in behind. There's a little bit of contact back and forth. Although it seems that everyone got safely through there. And they certainly did. Well done. In the front now, yet again, it's Krim having retaken the lead. late on that one, I'm afraid. Meanwhile, the 300s are on to the Nordschleife for the first time as well. And it's Antares leading CJ Leadfoot, Weather Systems, race car formidable, of course, both of GTP fame as well. Here is Damon the Black Rose racing driver in front of Canadian. The A-team finds himself a long way down the order, of course, running third in the GT300 championships. GTP Krim running away with it at the moment, it seems. A well-established lead here at this early point of the race. And it's time for the first wang cam of tonight's broadcast, as we're on board with the GT Racer. Having a look back at SDM running in third at the moment. The Flash having lost out on a couple of positions. And then it's NASCAR fan in the NSX, fifth at the moment. Still Antares, still CJ. And I believe those two are still close as well, as the Flash is closing in on SDM in front. Both drivers going slightly deep through that tight right-hander indeed. Oh, just as I say that, the Flash had a little bit of an issue there. And a quick glimpse of that. It's through here. That's hit miss. That's mid hit miss. I'm sorry. And that's not exactly how it went for the Flash. Also one of the more challenging corners, or corner combos, I should say. 3 apexes, but you have to miss 2 of them. It's difficult. And then in the darkness, well, that doesn't make it easier. That is not what I wanted to do. The Flash losing out on some time. NASCAR fan close in behind. Let's have a look with the 300 liters. Oh, that's Antares having put a good bit of time between the M6 and the Audi R8 of the Mad Greek running in second, both in the race and in the championship standings. Leadfoot in third position. Race car is fourth. It's Damon fifth in the Black Rose Racing AMG. Certainly something that's difficult to see for us here on cam. The liveries here tonight, so I hope we haven't seen anyone putting too much effort into a special one-off livery only to run it in the dead of night here at the Nürburgring for no one to see it. Back with the Krim leading the 500s by a good margin indeed. GT Racer just around a second in front of SDM, running that Lexus in third place at the moment. Big loser in the 500 class so far on the first lap seems to be the Kiwi. The Flash 05 championship leader, mind you, started from second, now running fourth. For the other drivers, it is as they started, and it seems pretty much to be the same way around for the 300 class. Also, we're not really seeing anybody being completely put off the back here is Formidable. As I say that, Drifters lost 7.5 seconds off the back of Formidable. Formidable having lost 3.5 seconds and running some heavy damage to that car. So some chaos has indeed happened in the GT300 class. Weather Systems also suffering, and we'll be having a look at how many of these cars are pitting in at the end of lap 1 already. The A-team, getting it all wrong, the Canadian here. Let's have another look at what happened. Attack! Oh, that's not gonna help it. It's just that a bit of frustration after that contact and then losing it into the barrier. And now Weather Systems catching up. And let's see if Make it safely round as well. Damon, I'm afraid, picked up, yeah, some damage to the rear end of the car through that contact there as well. Race car still running smoothly, and I think the drivers in front as well. And with that said, it's only 4 cars running, no damage at the end of lap 1 in the 300 class, so quite a bit of carnage having played out over the opening lap, it has to be said. Krim leading GT Racer by just over a second. It's SDM in 3rd position, now getting harried around the backside by the Flash, having caught up over the final bits of the Nordschleife, now entering the GT second. It's just, of course, entering or exiting the very slow hairpin. Time to go with the Wayne Cam from SDS. But usually when you hear someone going that slowly, it's because they've had an accident, which is what I what I initially thought. Of course, it wasn't so, and happy for that. We have a good battle on our hands. Under 3 seconds between SDM and the Flash. Of course, the Flash has to be a little careful with getting too close under the bumper and under the wings into the dirty air of the car in front. Especially on the bumpy surface of the Nordschleife, you can really just inexplicably lose all grip as we head towards a beautiful sky and then turn right back towards the darkness, only lit up by a few elements here in the background. I have to say though, it is pretty. And as these two head on towards the Nordschleife, the Flash brakes very late on that final corner and on that linkway between the two. Now it's down towards the Hudson-Bach. And of course it's very difficult to actually overtake on the Nordschleife. Now look at this, Antares leading by 4.1 seconds at the 300 liter on the back straight of the GT circuit. Ledford 3 seconds down on CJ. I have to wonder if something happened to CJ. No, still running cleanly. Seems like the 300 class has been subject to a little more spread here early on, as it's still very close between the Flash and SDM in front. The Flash now going to maybe send it up the inside, but thought twice, thought better about it than trying to pass, or go even worse, go too wide side by side through the Schwedenkreuz. It's gonna lose him a lot of time to the cars in front. Car's bottoming out here. Oh, it's SDM getting twitchy in the braking. Still close to the rear end, but as I mentioned before, it does seem like the Flash is just trying to hold off, not getting too close. Of course, when you're hanging out half a second down on someone through here, you are very much still within the dirty air. Oh, look at this, they're now able to see GT Racer up in front, so is that a problem? Not even. They might have made a mistake of some sorts. GT Racer running second place at the moment. And it's not that much of a spread between the leaders of the GT 500 class here on lap 2 of 12. Here's Angel in 6th. We have NASCAR fan running 5th, but only 10 seconds down. Angel, though, seems like she's had some kind of problem. Oh, poor luck for Angel, running engine damage. And now having to make it all the way around the Nordschleife at what's pretty much going to be half speed. And she might even be risking getting caught by the 300 liters. And Taras has further extended the lead down to CJ. It's now 6.5 seconds, or just around it. Looking very strong so far, the Filipino. It is Ledford 4.8 seconds down on CJ. Gaining a little out of that corner there. CJ perhaps having had a bad moment. How I just thought, how can we have a 300 car with a purple lap time? Of course, it's lap 2, and that explains everything more or less. Krim now the... Oh, what's happened to GT Racer? GT Racer has had some kind of incident, and we're not able to catch it. But it seems it's engine damage, and that means we actually have 2 cars with engine damage. Are we gonna see the safety car deployed for that? Well, they haven't called upon it. None of them, I think, has called the damage. Nope. And with that said, I don't even think we're gonna have the safety car coming out. That said, that could... oh, separate incidents, no safety car. Okay, so that safety car doesn't count if it's 2 separate incidents in different places of the track. That's nice to know, of course. It's always nice having Bambi along. Bambi, a real VRR veteran. Seems like Bambi has the knowledge of the entire rulebook, and it's quite a number of pages long, and I have to admit I haven't been through it all yet. And even if I had, probably wouldn't be able to remember everything. GT Racer though, poor luck. Krim now leading SDM by 6.5 seconds. The Flash putting on the pressure. The Kiwi looking for that 2nd place. NASCAR fan 16 seconds down. Also having picked up damage. Well, that's damage to both left and right front suspension and the front splitter. And you'd expect that might have something to do with the damage that GT Racer has picked up. And it was so clean for so long. But only until it wasn't anymore for the 500s. And the bad luck has seemed to strike. And it struck hard for GT Racer particularly. Losing big time here. In comes NASCAR fan. So that's a tank, brim tank, and damage fix, of course. GT Racer still in. And rejoining P5 at the moment. Now sitting 6th at the moment is Antares, and having further extended the advantage down to CJ. Ledford still 3rd, race car 4th. And then we have Angel back on track. And now running back into the pits with... Oh, is that... Oh, she's only made it around now, I think. Oh my, that's a big loss, and it's gonna be now the time of a pit stop added to that. Or is it another lap with engine damage for Angel? That's the question that we can't answer at the moment. But this is, after all, still looking good for Black Rose Racing, with Krim continuing to extend the leading advantage over the Flash. Flash now having gotten past on SDM as well. The championship leader up into second on the road. That's a race car. With a disconnect, and that means we have the first retirement of the race, down to 14 running cars now in both classes. We're following Leadfoot. Let's go on board with the, not the Wang, but the rather the frontwards facing hashtag Realburb cam of the Black Rose Racing AMG. Almost getting a little wide there, but managing to keep it in. Running third, running strong for a podium position at the moment, with a very healthy advantage down to Weather Systems fourth in class. And 8th overall, so still holding on in front of teammate Angel, although I think there will be no trouble for Angel being given the space to get past when she gets closer. Here's Weather Systems in the Lexus. As mentioned, 5th in class, then Damon 6th. We have 18, the Canadian, 7th in class at the moment in the Subaru. That is certainly not what we've come to expect from the A-team. Hey? Eighth at the moment, Formidable, having just put it in the wall, it seems, again, on the way down to Hatzenbach, I think. But it's indeed, it is in Hatzenbach. Under braking here. Oh, just gets it all wrong. And a little tap of that wall, but it's going to be enough for engine damage. Nope. Not enough for engine damage, so not completely cramped the car. Although it will be suffering, it will also still be able to go quicker than 160, 70 kilometers an hour. Oh, race car, poor luck. Sad to hear about that disconnect. And I had a feeling that it was indeed a disconnect, because hadn't he been one of the clean runners, one of the few clean runners in the 300 field that further down the running order has indeed had a very chaotic race so far. Here is 300 leader Antares. Went on to Le Mans indeed next week. I'll have my fingers crossed for better luck on your part, race car. CJ 8.1 seconds down. And what's the advantage from CJ to Leadfoot? Well, that's also around 8 seconds. So it's settling. It's slowly turning into a race on consistency, strategy, and cool minds, which will certainly be the prevalent ones here, I think. Question is, are we even gonna see lapping of the traffic here? I'm not quite sure, but we might indeed just Krim in third. Oh, what's gone on here? So we've not had Krim in the pits. Krim is now half a minute down. and having indeed run quite a long lap here. What has happened to GTP Krim? Now having fallen down to 3rd position. And that doesn't sound too good. That sounds like an engine with having taken damage. And that is indeed what has happened to GTP Krim. Bleeding time down the back straight. SDM pitting in as well to get some damage fix. Oh, this race is taking its toll on the drivers. It's proving to be a tough one. And SDM might be able to use this as relevant and stuff. No fuel even going on. Here in comes Krim. Bandit. You're gonna be cleaning the trailer tonight. It looks to have been a solo bottle job for Krim, having led comfortably. Now it's the Kiwi, it's the Flash comfortably in the lead by 34 seconds. SDM still second after that pit stop. But now only 8.5 seconds up on NASCAR fan. GT Racer rejoining after having had an accident on the last lap. Now up into 4th. Krim rejoining after a poorly timed accident as well. Now in 5th position. And it's still the 300s, then 6, 7 and 8 overall. And that's 1, 2 and 3 in class, of course. And then Angel falling in behind there. Oh yeah, Cross, you better get the you better get the prep work done. Make sure there's no damage carried over to the frame of the car being used for next week's race. Here is Antares having further opened the gap down to CJ. It's now 9 seconds just around. And the only one of the Black Rose Racing cars still running on the podium of the respective class. Here's Ledford, 3rd in the 300 class indeed. And I was just about to mention that myself, Stormpacer. We could indeed see Antares running away with it all if the attrition rate continues here. It's certainly been an attritional race so far. Oh, Ledford sliding about. Now, if you enjoy our race coverage or any of our other stuff here on Half the Race Gone, please leave a like on the video. And if you haven't, feel very free to subscribe. Hit that bell icon if you want to get that notification whenever we go live with one of our streams. Angel on the path to a comeback. But 2.5 minutes down on the Flash at the moment. So it's a long path indeed. There's the slight Flash. And there is a squeaky clean overtake just before the Nordschleife. Perfect timing. As it would have cost more time, I'm sure, for both drivers involved. So I have to get that overtake done later on, of course. I'm actually a little bit in doubt as to if Ledford felt like it. Whether it could have actually fought for that position. Of course, it would be absolutely pointless. Oh, we're seeing a bit of lag here, I think. lag or just a little bit of a mistake from Angel? Well, it's either or. It's the Flash leading yet again. The consistency that has taken the Kiwi to the top of the championship standings after the first 3 races is paying dividends yet again here. SDM running second and having opened up that gap down to NASCAR Fantasy to 10.2 seconds. Let's have a look with the Mad Greek. CJ just losing time here and there, sector for sector, slowly but surely, but still within touching distance very much of Antares. Now Angel coming up to lap CJ. Am I putting too much into it? Am I oh, Dana. We're not gonna cue the Dirten rendition of the Jaws theme, at least not quite yet. And I think it will also be to cater on something that we actually don't want to see happening in the end. Yeah, we want to see a clean pass. The Flash still comfortably leading. It's 34 seconds down to SDM NASCAR Fan, about 10 seconds down further on in 3rd place. And then it's GT Racer Krim and Angel. That's the running order of the 500 class. In the 300s, it's Antares, it's CJ, and it's Leadfoot. Then it's Weather Systems, Damon. It's A-Team Drifter and Formidable. Evening to Manthe, evening to I guess that's Tropes. I'm sorry if I sorry if I get it wrong, but evening to you, gentlemen. It's nice to have you along. I hope you can see something. Get your night vision goggles out because it is dark indeed. We're at the Nürburgring. It's nighttime. We are nearing the end of lap 4, 30 minutes of racing having been underway now, and the Flash, after quite an eventful opening half an hour in the 500 class, is now leading by just over half a minute. So it's looking good at the moment for the Flash. And in the 300 class, as mentioned, Antares is looking strong, but having lost a little bit of time. Might that have been a mistake? No contact, at least hadn't been made to any kind of walls or barriers. And that is, in the end, the most important bits. Seems like CJ, though, is... oh, that's, of course, Angel now gaining... Angel having gotten safety passed on CJ, it seems. Angel also one of the GT 500 cars to have the baddest of luck. I'm getting struck by several incidents already. Now having made our way back through the 300 field. That job will soon be over with, and that'll mean much more clean space in front of her. GT Racer with the fastest lap of the race. Good stuff, but it's not really gonna help too much, is it? Being a minute down at the moment, 16 seconds down on the podium places, and 8 seconds up on Krim. Let's have a look here with a GTP Krim on board for the GT track. The more lit part of affairs here. But it's been troublesome for Krim after a very strong start. Finding the lead early on and keeping it pretty well. Oh, Damon. Engine damage. Engine damage for the number the 84 car, the Black Rose Racing AMG, and that's around the... Yeah, that's down at the carousel indeed. And what it is that's engine damage or suspension, front right, and both rears, and then both splitters, front and rear as well. So that's a stricken car. If ever we've seen one, that's gonna allow Formidable back in. I think it is gonna allow Formidable back through as well. That's gonna be a problem for Damon. And it's going to be costing big amounts of time. The question is, was there anyone else involved? I don't think so. It seems to have been a solo accident. Although, I think you will find most drivers excused for whatever accidents they have here while driving here at night. It certainly isn't the easiest thing or the easiest place in the world to get your car around. And just as we say that, while on camera the A-team gets it all wrong. Instead, that's in the mini carousel. Oh, comes in very hot indeed. Tries to get the slingshot effect, but gets thrown off the banking and straight into the wall. So that's, to put it mildly, that's suboptimal for the A-team, who hasn't had the best of races yet, and it certainly isn't gonna aid at all. It's gonna be a gift for a drifter who's gonna be moving up the order. Up, indeed. Same goes for Formidable, who I think will be climbing off and away from last place because of the incidents in front. Weather systems in the pit also having picked up damage, so the attrition continues, and it really is proving to be a very unpredictable race, in the sense that, well, you get the thing that pops up in my mind is, who's next? Who is next in the end? A-team coming in here as well. And that's engine damage and the full Monty. Sure has been very dramatic, as I have to tap my can of Coke here to make sure it doesn't explode all over the place. Job well done for me. And that's the pit stop over with for the A-team, leaving, somehow holding on to the position in front of the A-team by some seconds. Damon still on the way back to the pits, and Formidable, well, I was talking about Formidable being the advantageous soul in all of this. There isn't going to be any kind of advantage for Formidable whatsoever, because it's been nothing but bad luck, and it's been engine damage yet again, as Damon pits in to get whatever damage he's accumulated to the car fixed. As we saw the Flash catching a little bit of airtime. Let's see if we can get another shot of that, because it sure was... And here comes over that little crest. Oh. Impressive. Status quo at the head of affairs in the 500 class. Still just over half a minute between the Flash and STM. I think the Flash being the only one who hasn't been in for a pit stop yet. NASCAR fan might just have had a stop, although I'm not quite sure though. Well, that second lap of an 8:05 might have been with a pit stop on the way. 49 seconds down on race leader, the Flash, at the moment. And then a further 12 seconds down to GT Racer, and both GT Racer and GTP Crim, who also led for the opening couple of laps. Well, both of those drivers have great pace, but finding themselves quite a bit away behind at the moment. Angel has now found her way back through on the leading 300 cars. And that's going to be a relief to see for her. And Tara's still leading, and it's now by 11.3 seconds. So the GT300 leader is comfortably and very steadily increasing the advantage down to a championship contender who's also second, of course, in the championship standings at the moment. CJ, third in class, is Leadfoot, and it's been like this for the entirety of the race so far. We are on the 5th lap of 12. We're on the 6th lap for the 500s, which means we're getting close to our half the race gone marker, the half race distance. It's looking good for the Flash at the moment. Purple time through sector 2 on the GT track as well. So seems to be keeping it on point. And after a very, very, very close qualifying session, it's a war on pace. That is to expect more or less from any race around here, basically. And I think what I would have done if I was taking part in this race in these cars around this track, surely you could probably gain the quickest possible lap with a relatively low downforce setup around here, but I am sure that it would in the end be faster. Well, if going high downforce means that you can keep the car on track, that's gonna be the fastest way to do the race for sure. It's being very, very steady at the moment for the Flash. Now we have Krim pitting in yet again and having picked up engine damage yet again. So that's the end of all chances, I think, sadly, for GTP Krim. The Black Rose Racing GTRs are suffering in the 500 class here tonight. It's quite a shame to see. And that's Angel going through. So Angel up into 5th in class, just nudging down teammate Krim into 6th position. We might actually see a battle between the two GTRs. Nice little detail that they've made sure to use the variations of the car with the differing lights, with the red and blue lights respectively. Does look good when they come driving down the road. Let's have a look with Antares. He's lost half a second down to CJ. Although it's not the first time there's been a slight time loss for the Filipino. There is the Audi, the Voltron Audi of the Mad Greek, who's in negotiations, shall we say, with the Project One SimRacing team about assigning the Mad Greek, who's made himself, well, he's been there or thereabouts in league after league after league, always both race and championship title contender in these leagues, and he's also been up there in the top splits of the daily races in the FIAs, and those top 3 splits is where he's usually up amongst, perhaps top 4 splits, I'd say, but that's still saying a lot about his skill level. The Mad Greek. Hashtag real burp. An avid Olympiacos fan he is. Makes his way through the chicane and then is on to the Nordschleife. I was just about to say you go down the black hole here and into the darkness. And Tara is having regained some of that time. NASCAR fan also finding it gainly at the moment. 3rd place running in the NSX. You have GT Racer in 4th. And did the Lexus? Yeah, they did also. Red and blue. Nice. Nice. Here's Krim. Krim having gotten past on Angel and putting a little bit of distance in between, but Krim having been with a very strong pace all night through practice, through qualifying as well, and through the race as well, barring just a couple of incidents. The pace has been good. The consistency has been lacking a little. And as I said that, Krim had quite a moment. As we're on board with the Diet Coke car of GT3 Krim. You see here, being sucked off into the grass, and that's it's actually pretty well kept. So the Flash leading halfway through here by just over half a minute from SDM. Now in behind some traffic here that might become dodgy. It certainly became dodgy for a short moment as SDM does make it through safely. Let's have a second look. Coming up behind the car of Formidable. I'm lucky not to get it all wrong in that situation. SDM NASCAR fan 18 seconds down. Not running with any damage. But GT Racer, pardon me, is closing in. It's just 4 seconds of a gap between the two. That just might be the battle to watch. The battle for 3rd place at the moment in the 500 class, as GT Racer seemingly gets a way superior exit onto the long back straight. And that's going to be clawing back time. That's Angel calling out engine damage. And that means we're gonna see if we can catch it, but it doesn't seem like it. Of course. Oh, an SDM pitting in. No damage, so that's the regular stop. You would have to think it could have been a good idea to get that stuff over with earlier on. Although, then again, it could have been too early to get it done earlier. So this might be the only way for SDM. I think it's just gonna be holding on to 3rd. It's not gonna be, or is it? Into turn 1 they go side by side more or less. GT Racer nudging ahead, gaining 3rd position. Let's just have another look at that wang cam from the Okuma RCF, and look to the left as SDM's car comes into display, and it isn't as close as we've seen closer. We'll put it like that. Still quite a close battle now for 2nd place in the 500 class. 2 seconds separating NASCAR fan and GT Racer, and then yet again under 2 seconds between GT Racer and SDM. So all still to play for in the 500 class. It's looking very good though, you'd have to say, for the Flash. Now leading by a solid, very comfortable 54 seconds. And that's NASCAR fan approaching the car of Formidable. There's quite a bit of flashing going on to tell the slower 300 Lexus that there's a faster car coming up. Let's go on board with the GT Racer just to see how and they cope with traffic. They do pretty well. And then there's SDM, last of this trio to have to overtake. Is it going to be any easier for Lexus on Lexus? I do not expect it at all. Here down through the Hatzenbach, down towards it. Oh, getting held up already here. SDM losing time, losing time. You see that impatience. Of course, oh, and there's the contact. There's the contact that we did not want to see. Formidable on board with the Wang Cam here. Well, I don't think Formidable, to be honest, is doing anything wrong in this situation. Now the pass, of course, having been made, but the damage also is done already. That's not what either of those two were looking for. That is for sure SDM really looking or losing out on that one and picking up, no, not even picking up damage. So that might be the saving grace for SDM. There mightn't even have been any contact. It could just have been a little bit of a lag spike, a little bit of a netcode perhaps that the game didn't pick up. I don't know. It might also just have been too soft of a tap. But I don't think there is anything called too soft of a tap for the GT 500 cars not to pick up damage. Here is Angel pitting in with that engine damage. Poor luck for us. Hasn't been a great race at all. And yet again, she's seeing the leading 300 cars roll past here with Antares now leading by 14.5 seconds. Down to the Mad Greek. Ledford for Black Rose Racing still third with a very comfortable advantage of 1 minute and 50 seconds down to Weather Systems, 4th in class. The A-team having moved up into 5th. It's now Drifter 6th. It's Damon 7th, and it's Formidable in 8th in the GT 300 class. Of course, in the 500s, it is Flash leading NASCAR fan, GT Racer, SDM, RRDZ, and GTP Crim. And then, of course, in 6th in class, 8th overall at the moment, just having exited the pit from a severe case of engine damage. It is Angel of the Black Rose Racing team. Another Black Rose driver in for a pit stop is Ledford. It looks like a rim of the tank, and then off it is. A little bit of a damage fix, I think. But plenty of time for Ledford to get back and rolling. They wouldn't be in any hurry and such because of such a comfortable advantage. Ledford just has to keep it cool, calm, and collected. And that'll be a podium place. Home and safe. Of course, that's easier said than done. Still, let's see if there's going to be 5 or 6 laps remaining for the 300s. I'm not entirely sure. It's going to depend on whether or not the entire 300 field gets lapped. And then again, that is still something remaining to be seen here as the Flash now having begun on overtaking some of the 300 cars. That was the car of the A-team, the Subaru. 3rd overall at the moment, or in the overall championship standings. Of course, not 3rd overall. It's running a rather disappointing pass, I think, at the moment. It is indeed 5th. So back with our 500 leader, the Flash. The Kiwi still looking ever so solid. Nursing that 55 yet, or just play it safe, keep it cool, and the gap should be enough. Thanks, Ayrton. Have a nice weekend, and hope to see you soon as well, mate. NASCAR fan now up on SDM by 6.5 seconds. Oh, and I think GT Racer has been the belle of bad bad luck has stricken GT Racer yet again and has picked up engine damage. And that might, at this point, still a bit of track left. Although 1.5 minutes down to Krim in behind. I'm not quite sure that's going to be made up by this in itself. But surely not optimal for GT Racer 22. What a bit of poor luck for GT Racer, the car with the best pace on track for the race here. Fastest lap set with a 7 minutes 22.7 at the moment, but that's no good when you put it in the wall. Already 1 minute and 40 down on race leader, the Flash. Here we have SDM pinning in as well. SDM having also picked up engine damage, so that's 2 cars in the same situation, and that's gonna leave the Flash and NASCAR fan now in front by a comfortable margin over the remaining cars. And we've yet to see how they're gonna stand, how they're gonna be standing as they leave the pits. So it's really beginning just to point in the direction of the Flash to extend the championship lead. NASCAR fan now looking good in second as well. And third placed SDM now almost 2 minutes down on race leader. Let's go back with the 300 liters for a moment. Here's Antares yet again now seeming to be caught ever so slowly by Angel. Well, that's CJ. Still comfortably second. Almost losing it there through miss. I'm having so much trouble saying anything. I'm also having a bit of cut mouth. CJ flashing on. And something worth mentioning here as I think CJ, well, the NES, the Nuke Shot Endurance Series 5, the new, well, it's on the way, and a lot of changes having been made when coming to that particular series. Here's Angel pinning in with more damage. Oh, that's poor luck indeed. There is CJ passing the line. So we're gonna be opening up for more drivers entering the series. And that's only one of the things that's gonna be happening for the NES. Well, it's gonna be interesting, and of course much more to come on that in the near future. So the Flash now having tipped it over a minute's worth of advantage. And that's pretty strong, I have to say. And Antares in front by 16 seconds by now, so it's also looking more and more comfortable. Although it is, to be fair, still one of the closer battles on track at the moment, at least, between the BMW M6 of Antares and the Audi R8 of the Mad Greek in second position at the moment in the GT300 class. Hashtag real burp. I just spoken for like 2 minutes with a muted microphone because I am a little I have a little cold here in the middle of the summer and the hot weather. I've managed to get a cold somehow. Here is the Flash actually pitting in. It's the first stop for the Flash. I think it's the only GT500 car to only have the one planned pit stop. So far, at least, it's been a very, very strong display for the Kiwi. Just a dash of fuel and then back out running fresh rubber. But anyway, I had switched off my mic before because of a cold. I have to blow my nose at times, not to get to sound like this when I'm speaking. And after having made the mistake on a couple of occasions of actually not muting the mic while blowing my nose and then hearing that as I watched the streams back afterwards, that's the thing that really sprung to my mind. Mute the fucking mic when blowing my nose. So now I'll do that with the side effect that occasionally I'll miss the mute button or not press it properly, as sometimes they happen to be a little flimsy, the mute buttons here on the Yetis. Any Yeti owners, I think, would agree with me on that one. Well, that was a lot of an explanation for nothing. Still the Flash, NASCAR fan, SDM, GT Racer, and Krim, the running order top 5 in the 500 class. And then it's Antares, CJ, Ledford, I think then still Weather Systems, Drifter, and the A-Team making up the top 5 of the 300 class, indeed, as A-Team is pitting in. And that's with engine damage yet again. It's certainly not been the best of nights for the A-Team. The Canadians absolutely suffering. And I can count at least 3 pit stops having been made due to accidents and having to get that engine damage fixed. Can I just say, first of all, it's been a brilliant display from both the Flash, and then I have to say from Antares and CJ again so far, having kept it very clean for this long. So we're following the A team. But can I also just say, hello, Piosco! That's something I want to say as well. Nice to have you along. Good evening. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. I can say that I'm enjoying mine. As always, the weekend is the best time of the week. And I'm looking forward till next weekend when we will be bringing you, our lovely audience, we will be bringing you the IGTL, the International Gran Turismo League, for the first time with a 3-event weekend coming up. And that means, first of all, can I just say we don't even know the track yet. We don't know the track yet, and the organizers haven't revealed it to us for us to reveal it to you. So we don't know what track it's on yet. It's going to be an interesting one to see where it's going to be. We're going to be having the Clubman race. That's going to be taking place on Friday evening in the Alpine Vision Gran Turismo race car. One-make race. All of these are one-make races, by the way. Then on Saturday, it's time for the Pro Stint race. That's going to be 2 stints of 45 minutes to create a 1.5-hour stint race, if I'm not completely mistaken. If I am completely mistaken, it's because it's 1.5-hour stints to create a 3-hour stint race. So don't hang me up on that one, though, ladies and gents. That's Saturday night. We got a couple of our good mates from the TSR SimRacing taking part in that one. Martin and Wake, alongside a lot of other strong folks. Let's see if there's anything we can see from any kind of incident between Krim and Damon. Nothing happened there, it seems. So Krim getting past safely. Oh, I have a dog as well. I don't know if she's that stinky. She's not the smelliest of dogs, but as she grows older, she's just around 2 years now, she does get stinkier, I can tell you that. She's really sweet though, Stella, the half the race dog. Here is Angel pitting in, and Tara's pitting in from the lead, and that's going to be CJ pitting in around the same time. And Tara's having managed to spend a lot less fuel than CJ at this point. Here's Angel rejoining. CJ, well, and Tara's, he's already out again. And CJ still having to do the pit stop. That's going to leave the Greek quite a bit of way back. And he's also picked up some damage, so... Anyway... I didn't even get to finish my talk about the IGTL weekend coming up next weekend, because the pro race on Saturday is going to be held in the Red Bull Junior cars. So a one-make race in the Red Bull Junior machines. It's going to be a stint race. It's going to be close and interesting, and those cars sound beautiful as well. And are quite interesting because downforce machines, but they're still on the slidey side of things. So and then the big main event, if we can call it that, I think we safely can, the 4-hour master stint race, now featuring 2 drivers of 3 stints on Sunday, and it's gonna be in the Super Formula machines. So a lot to look forward to coming up next weekend. Of course, there's also the VRR taking place from Le Mans, and sadly we won't be able to bring you that race as of our IGTL commitments that's been standing for a long time. Hey there, Billin. Yeah, it seems to be nicely timed, isn't it? And man, was it good to see Olegna's performance at Monza yesterday. Moving up like a rocket through the field, starting in last and 12th position, ending up in 5th in what was essentially very much a 5 or 6 lap sprint race. 6 laps, I think it was, in the end. Impressive stuff from the Dutchman indeed. Here is the Flash I think having underfueled, maybe having underfueled at least. But of course, Olegna being the good friend and Iris Racing Team teammate of Bellin, and indeed Bellin, he was the driver of the race of the day with that performance. Absolutely brilliant job from Olegna. The flyingest of Dutchmen, if you can say that. The Flash exiting and still in the lead now. 3 laps of racing to go, and that's gonna amount to something like 22, 23 minutes to go. We're gonna be very close to finishing at 1.5 hours of racing here. And Bellin, sadly, I had some problems with my internet, so it was falling in and out as they were racing yesterday. I didn't really catch it all, so I didn't see what happened with the other Aston drivers at the Nürburgring race. Although I have read that they had a little bit of issues, but you know, you gotta keep it all for one for all when racing those team events, and can't put the blame on anyone in particular. I think anyone can make a mistake under those conditions, especially in such a high pressure situation. But in turn, of course, it is also a shame to see them falling away from the lead. But yeah, indeed, Bellin, I'm gonna watch the final race back and see for myself. So 27 seconds after that pit stop between the Flash and NASCAR fan. NASCAR fan seems on a personal best lap at the moment, at least through the GP circuit. And then it's a further 42.5 seconds down to SDM. GT Racer 4th at the moment, and it's Krim just having overtaken... is that the car of Drifter? I think that is. But Krim running 5th, Angel in 6th, then of course leading the GT300s it is Antares, now half a minute up on CJ, who must surely have binned at some part of that in lap before. The question is now, how much of a lead is he packing down to Leadfoot? Well, that's 15 seconds still, so still comfortable for the Mad Greek in 2nd position. And Leadfoot comfortable as ever with 1.5 minutes down to Weather Systems. Weather Systems running 4th in the Lexus. For Audi running 5th, it is Drifter. It's Formidable in 6th at the moment. It's the A-team in the pits yet again, this time fueling and repairing yet another round of engine damage. And then behind it is Damon, not having the best of races either, and that also sounds like engine damage for Damon. This might have been a very long lap, and it has indeed, look at that, 9.5 minutes. So that's extraordinarily poor luck. Indeed. And there's also very much a question of rhythm here on this track, because I think once you find yourself to have your rhythm broken, putting the car on the wall or something, the frustration that builds up, well, it's just going to be so hard to get it back. Nonetheless, it has to be done. And you also just have to keep your hopes up, because in the end you never know which of the other cars in front are going to be facing tough times and perils of their own, and for that very reason you just always have to keep on pushing So as we're nearing the end of this race, it seems the running order is becoming more and more settled. Worth noting, since there was only 30 seconds separating Angel, who's been very unlucky and hasn't had the best of races at all, in 6th position. Oh, and Tara's having picked up some damage, and that's a pit stop, I think, just to repair that. The question is, how long time is that gonna take? Is that gonna allow the Mad Greek in 2nd to come through? Well, I don't know if he's gonna come through, but he certainly is gonna close in. I think Antares has left the box, so he's not gonna get up through, that's for sure, but he's gonna close that gap right up to around the 10-second mark. And the battle now very much alive. From judging from the rest of the of the time differences here, definitely the closest on-track battle at the moment. With this just around 10 seconds separating top 2 runners in the GT 300 class. And in the 500s, well, it's certainly more settled there with the Flash leading NASCAR Fan and STM. Then in 4th, it's GT Racer. 5th, it's GTP Crim. And 6th for Black Rose Racing as well, it's Angel. Oh, try again. Evening Maverick, nice to have you along. I hope you're doing well. You've tuned in for the what could have been a pointy end, but it seems it's gonna, unless we're gonna have some big drama here at the end. More or less the race order has settled, and STM just about keeps that under control. We're gonna have to go on board for another look, because that was very close indeed. Oh, thanks, mate. Just about keeping that between the white lines. Well done, STM, for that one. That could have been costly indeed. With just 13 seconds now down to GT Racer in 4th position. That battle for 3rd in the 500 class could come alive here on the final 2 laps of racing still to come. Still to go. Around 15 minutes of racing still left. And then, of course, as we get closer, we're gonna see exactly how it's gonna fall. Of course, no, because we're just going 12 laps. I'm just too used to endurance racing. Oh, the Flash has to take it easy there and stay watchful. NASCAR Fan, it's been a clean race so far. I have never noticed that LED light stripe in on the rear wing, or should I say embedded into the rear wing of the NSX. That's pretty dank looking. In 3rd, it's SDM now, just 13 seconds in front of GT Racer, and it's worth mentioning GT Racer being the best on pace for this race and continually improving that best lap time, having hammered it down to a 7:21.1, which is in turn, of course, 2 seconds faster than the pole time in qualifying. Although, that being said, it's also been set with lower fuel than they had the possibility of running in qualifying. And that is, of course, something that has a big say in the end. So as mentioned, GT Racer 4th, then it's Crim, who were also leading for the first, well, 3-4 laps or so, if not even 5. It was looking good for so long for Black Rose Racing, and then it all came tumbling down and Krim has been followed by bad luck ever since. The same can be said for Angel, who's had a race to forget. In the 300 class, Antares so far has had a brilliant one, although it's been looking a little more shaky here lately, as on the last lap he had a little bit of an incident that forced him into the pits for some short repairs. He's now just 10.8 seconds ahead of CJ in second, Leadfoot in third position, overall around half a minute down on class leader Antares. So should Antares spin it at any point and buckle under the pressure, or CJ for that matter, Leadfoot is right there to take advantage. Has to be said that Leadfoot has run a brilliant race so far. And then further down in fourth and fifth, it's Weather Systems and Drifter, and those are quite a bit of way back. So SDM on a purple lap this lap, definitely, or I believe at least feeling a little bit of heat from behind. Feeling like they're having to press on. And we've seen a very closely matched field with this custom BOP for the GT 500 class in effect. And yet again, it's at the moment Nissan leading Honda and Lexus on the podium spots. Now that's of course nice to see, although it has been more a question of driver consistency than anything else here. 6/10 up on the purple time for SDM. A good pace at the moment, it seems. Also with a light car under 25% fuel left. And the 500 field on the way to begin the final lap. There's still a bit of track left for SDM here to cover. There is GT Racer trying to claw back some time, and maybe just there is no point for fastest lap, only for pole position. So that's just for the honors of it in the end. And then of course pushing to try and see if it could perhaps be possible to somehow regain third position, but it would require, I think, a mistake, and a great one indeed, for SDM to throw away 14 seconds. Antares has pulled out a second on CJ. It's now up to 11.6 seconds yet again. And with that, it is looking steady and stable, I think. And I also think we have 2 laps left to do for Antares here, if I'm not completely mistaken. We'll have to see on that, but he hasn't been lapped, that's for sure. And losing about 40 seconds a lap. And now 50 seconds in front, so it's going to be close, but it's not going to be, I think, in the end. Here is the Flash passing the line to the final lap. It's been a brilliant performance so far, And now just 28 kilometers, is it? Or is it 25? I'm actually a bit of a loss here. I should know. That's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? Well, a single long lap left for the Flash. And if everything goes the way it should for the Kiwi, in about 7 minutes time, we'll see him cross the line as race winner. Because it's around 40 seconds down to NASCAR fan, who also has a comfortable advantage down to SDM in 3rd place. They're bringing the Lexus through the final corners. Well, that's SDM with a 7 minutes 20 dead. Man, a new fastest lap of the race. Proper pace here on the penultimate lap from the Lexus in 3rd. And this is gonna be it is gonna be an improvement. Last lap there for GT Racer, 7:29. So actually also losing a bit of time for the first time in a couple of laps. Those two Lexuses could just be battling each other at the moment just for fastest lap in the end. Certainly they would have been up there had it not been for numerous incidents. Mostly for GT Racer SDM, he's also been hit somewhat. And here is Antares, 12 seconds now. Coming up towards one of the back markers. And the question is, who is it? Is it Damon? It is Damon. It seems having ghosted out of the way. That means we'll have CJ coming up shortly to get his lapping of the back marker over with. What's up, Tralso? We can do that. I have a bit of revenge at Spa, I guess, after being taken out by Pedro. Thanks, Pedro. God, iRacing really turns you into a SimRacing asshole, doesn't it? Instantly. We're becoming what Ethan would hate. Shame on us. Shame on us indeed. Eternal shame. Oh, what had happened there? I think, who was that? That looked... Let's go on board to see how that looked from onboard cam of CJ's car. As I think that was Damon parked the wrong way around there. It was certainly Damon. We're just gonna capture what happened there. Yeah, rest in peace indeed. And then look what happened there. Oh! Although good, it would have been straight out of Ozcast had he just moved to the right of Damon, of course, to CJ's left. And now I think it is race leader, the Flash, coming up to lap Damon as well. Oh, and that sent him straight into the walls. And he just isn't lucky at all. Damon 84 in the number 84 car. Just the slightest of touches, but that's absolutely destroyed him on what is his final lap as well. The Flash. Well, I'm having a hard time to call him too responsible for that one because it was the slightest of touches. And it is the hardest track to get traffic done with. He did have the time to be patient, but sometimes having to slow up too much for a slower class car in itself can be extremely dangerous. And what you want to do is just stay in the flow and get it over with quickly, safely, and just like that, duck, yeah. NASCAR fans still second, still 14 seconds down to SDM. Wintern also has around 15 seconds down to GT Racer as we're watching. GT Racer sitting fourth at the moment. On the way to the carousel. Then in for a ride, or half a ride I guess. And then you get swung out. What then happens in at the amusement park, that's screaming children and angry parents and lawsuits. I mean, when you're in a action swing, or what you call one of those things that go around and spin on their heads. We just had one of these accidents actually at a fair in Denmark, where there's some girls being slung out as their closing mechanism just opened. Here we are indeed. Yeah, you missed the trials. It was days ago. We're at 4:24 now. The 4:20 I said was in honor of Dr. Hash. Indeed. So it's the final long straight for the Flash. It's been a brilliant performance all the way through, especially given that didn't look like the pace was necessarily the strongest through all the way through qualifying, and then at the final moment put in that time, a good time to start second on the grid, then fell to fourth on the opening lap, but having it cool, clean and consistent all the way through since then, and now taking the checkered flag as winner of the 300 kilometers of the Nürburgring, the fourth round, going to championship leader. Coming into this round, it has to be said, the Flash in the GT 500 class extending the lead. The Flash with the Flash for the win. And NASCAR fan, is that a tribute to the Flash? It might just be. It's gonna be coming home. It's coming home, but it's only for second for Honda and NASCAR fan. And of course, one thing that we haven't mentioned too much as well is the weight ballast, the success ballast that we're running in this series, and that's for the GT 500s. That's 1% per 5 points, I think. For the 300s, it's 1% per 6 points. GT Racer, they're home for fourth place in the end. You have to feel for both GT Racer and STM. It could have been more, and same goes for GTP Krim, who had such a good place in qualifying and led the race for a good bit of the race, for a good part of the opening 4 or 5 laps. It looked quite good. In the end, it wasn't to be. Krim's day comes home for 5th. Here's Angel, and I think big parts of the field aren't even gonna make that time cut here. We've had Leadfoot come home for 3rd in the 500 class. Weather Systems is gonna be 4th. Drifter's gonna be 5th. The A-Team is gonna be 6th in class, and Damon's gonna be 7th. And of course, it's gonna be Antares taking yet another win and solidifying the championship lead over, well, exactly the driver finishing in 2nd in the 300 class as well today, the Mad Greek. Jon El Jon El Loco. And for some reason I was about to call him Lil Jon, but it is of course Crazy John. Though it does look like it's going to be an uphill struggle from here. There it is, the final call, the final standings. And as always, they appear before you have any chance of actually having a look at it. So I've just, by now, I think I've just learned myself not even to go into it. Although I am going to show you the race results here. So I've mentioned big congratulations to our two class winners, The Flash and Antares. And on the podium in the 500s is NASCAR fan and SGM RRDZ. And on the podium in the 300s, CJ and Ledford. And with that said, time for interviews. Time for the press conference. Just gonna invite the gang. And that means you'll have jumping heads for a moment. We'll need CJ and Taurus. We will need Ledford. We will need NASCAR fan, SDM, and The Flash. Oh, caps! We're just awaiting the arrival of the drivers. So here they are tuning in, and let's start with the GT 300 winner tonight, Antares. What a performance on your part. From lights to flag, there wasn't really any doubt about your win tonight. Did it? I mean, and it certainly looked easy, but was it? I have a suspicion it wasn't.
No, it really wasn't. The Nürburgring, you know, it's a really tough track. Like, you need to do 12 laps around it. Even just 12 laps around it takes a lot of concentration. Well, I actually almost slipped once. Lap 9, I had a little off in the mountain section. Thankfully, I had enough of a gap to CJ so I could still fit in repairs, and that's it.
Well, it certainly was a war of attrition out there, and to make a little analogy here, you certainly drew the longest straw today. So big congratulations on that one. Moving on to the Mad Greek. Are you indeed, CJ? Are you indeed mad about second today, or was that just the capabilities of the car today?
Probably like 50-50. On the one hand, I believe I got everything I could from the car, as it's not as good as the M6 or the Nordschleife. It just doesn't suit the track. On the other hand, considering that Noir did crash, if I didn't spin on my in lap and pick up damage, I would probably be on par with him after the stops.
Yeah, because
I can't revert the time back, so that's all I could do.
And once this happens, oh sorry.
What happened basically was on mini carousel, I got a bit too wide. My right side was on the grass. Then I tried to rejoin, and the car made a 360, and I hit a wall.
But indeed, I think you those 10 seconds that you were behind, 10, 12 seconds, 13 seconds, or what it was at the end, I think that's about what you lost at that situation. So poor luck indeed, and it would have been great to see from a viewer's perspective, indeed, also that battle. But I'm sure you'll come back fighting next week. Ledford.
Well, surely.
Good to hear. Ledford, a podium for Black Rose Racing in the end in the 300 class. It seemed really good for a long time with Krim in the lead of the 500s as well, and it certainly seemed just to be a war of attrition out there. You kept it cool in third from lights to flag. Talk us through your race out there.
Yeah, not a bad race. Pretty calm race on my end. Starting at the start, I guess. Managed to get a pretty good jump off weather. Managed to get a nose inside of CJ, but I didn't want to force anything, and I pretty much just let him go. And then heard a whole bunch of calamity behind me coming out of the foxhole, so just ended up backing off a little bit, and I think that's what cost me in the end run. Yeah, just didn't have the pace for Noir or Crazy John or anything. And end of the day, happy for the podium, finally getting these Mercs up there. It's been a real challenge, but just wish it could have been more. So maybe next time.
Well, certainly. But anyways, congrats on that podium finish, and nice to see you up there. It's certainly, it must have been a tough one out there. Let's have a talk with our GT 500 winner. Now extending the championship lead as well in that class, the Kiwi, the Flash. I got it right this time around. How was it out there? You seem to have a perfect combination of pace and consistency to take the win quite dominantly today.
That was so much fun. Like, it was. I made a little bit of a mistake on the opening lap, but I just let everyone around me do their thing, and I found my way to the front, and then just kept doing what I was doing and ran consistent laps, and it all paid off in the end. Had a little bit of a scare in the pit lane where it wouldn't let me take any fuel, so that was the reason for my second stop, but yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. It was really good. It
seemed like you had good fun out there. The car also seemed to be running perfectly. You seem to have a good setup, I would believe, as well. Since it is, in the end, pretty important here. But congrats on a great performance overall over this race. NASCAR fan, bringing the NSX home in second from P5. Although only being 0.5 of a second down on the grid, it was really close in qualifying. What was your expectations coming into the race?
Well, there was a lot of talk and a lot of discussion, and everybody kind of figured that you'd get one chance to screw up. And I figured, maybe I'd get that towards my pit stop, but it turned out that would actually happen for me on lap 2. So that was my pit stop. So after that, I was just kind of like, let's just chill and see what happens. And as the race developed, people just kept making mistakes around me, and we were there to capitalize on it. And man, it's just so much fun. I could be running 17th or I could be running first. This track never gets old for me, and it was a blast. And it's really cool because the last time we raced here at these cars was at least 2 years ago, and it's cool to see everybody that was here before coming here now. We've all just done so much better of a job instead of wrecking every other lap. So it was an absolute blast. I'm absolutely thrilled with second place, keeping the podium streak alive, and that's the wild card off our back. So now we can focus on taking the championship from Flash.
Well, that's good to hear, and congratulations on second place, NASCAR fan. So, first of all, SDM, what is it? Your username? What do you say is the correct pronunciation of it?
All right. So my
yeah,
my pronunciation for my name is SDMRRDZ, because I ran as Road Rage Dudes on PlayStation 3. So now Bend Over's just an internet meme, I guess. So you can just call me as RRDZ for the time being.
All right. Yeah, I just got a little confused about it. But anyways, you seem to have a really good pace in the Lexus, especially towards the end of the race as the fuel loads were lightening. And you also put in the fastest lap we saw all of the entire event. Are you happy with third in the end, or did you feel like the car had pace for more?
Well, a podium is a podium, and especially today after my first race in the season as a reserve, Nürburgring at the nighttime is in a GT500 car is no easy feat, and especially doing it after the first race today, it was quite a challenge to overcome. But I think being on the podium P3 after that, basically a fight to survive kind of race. I think it's a very, very great day in the office. Also, congratulations to Flash, a NASCAR fan who basically had better races than me. And it was just, it was too much fun on the track today, but everyone did a good job, and I'm very, very ecstatic and happy on where I finished today, so I couldn't be any more happier than I am right now.
Well, that's a pleasure to hear. Sounds like everyone's had quite a blast. At least, now I say everyone, but at least the podium finishes in both classes sound to have had a fun, good race out there, and that's at least nice to hear. Thanks, folks, for taking part in our post-race press conference. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
And with that, a little bit of bouncing heads, and we're gonna leave the party people, and we're gonna leave him to say thanks for joining in. You've been watching the virtual reality racing Super GT Season 6, 300 kilometers of Nürburgring here on Half the Race Gone with me, DirtenDK, as your commentator. We'll be back for sure with a bang next weekend, with 3 days of GT Sport festivities here on the channel, as we bring you the IGTL race weekend of June. It's been 3 months since we had one of these, and we're hugely excited for it. You can join our Discord channel if you feel like getting more info on any of these events, or just generally joining in the fun. In our Discord channel, you can follow us on Twitter as well. And with that said, well, one more thing to say is also, of course, to drop a like, and if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to our channel. And with that said, I think all that remains to be said for me is thanks for tuning in, and until next time, take care, have fun, and bye-bye.